It's incredibly fascinating to watch him apply this spray foam.
It's amazing.
First, he's putting a real thin layer they call a flash, and allowing that to cool just a little while so that we don't cause any damage to the steel on the outside. He'll come back just a little bit later and put the rest of the coat on it. Now, no, I don't have a mask on right here. I will have a little bit later if I get up close to them. Right now, we've got all the doors open in the shop, so we've got a lot of ventilation, and I'm not getting very close. It's only been a couple of minutes since he's done this, and it's hard. And it's cool on this side. They said it gets up to 230 degrees when they apply it. The chemical reaction causes that. Here's his measurement stick. I have a very long selfie stick, so it may seem like I'm pretty close, but I am not. I'm at least 12 feet away. Maybe 15. Strong breeze blowing through here today. This is the shady side, so the building is going to be totally cool on areas they haven't applied. I don't have any infrared thermometer or anything, but this is cool to the touch here. Chilly to the touch, actually. I mean, it's a very nice day today, but it still feels cool. Now this, I can tell, has been applied, probably just the flash coat there. And then here it's a lot warmer. I can hear he's applying here right now. It's warm, but I don't see any damage. It's not hot enough to cause any damage with this steel. Yeah, that was one of my concerns. I've got these photos here from Ken from Bolt On Hooks, and you'll see what his building looks like. I did not want my building to look like that. This is one of the hidden advantages of doing YouTube. We put out this video a while ago on our insulation struggles, we called it. I was really having trouble making a decision. Behind the scenes, John reached out. Tell me a little about your background with Tractor Time with Tim.
So I started watching early on, like I think 2015, 2016. You guys were in your little house in Carmel, and I was in the market for a little tractor, and that's how I found it, right? Okay. I was doing research.
Yeah.
And so I started watching that and seeing what you guys did with Johnny, and just say, man, I don't need anything bigger than that. I got a small piece of property, so I ended up buying one, and I just continued watching and really enjoyed everything you guys were doing with it.
You've been watching my building project?
I have. You know, I was telling you, I really don't reach out and comment, and I just, you know, don't seem to have the time for that. But the last one you put on there, really struggling with installation, I'm like, man, I have to reach out now. And I was concerned with seeing you struggle on doing the right thing. Being in the industry so long, I'm like, man, I can help him. You know, he helped me making my tractor decision, you know, so I'm like, it's my turn now to reach out and help you. Because I mean, I've been watching for 10 years, right? Almost family-like, right? I mean, I watched you grow up and, you know, move through the whole series.
So John reached out behind the scenes, and he said, I've got some ideas to help you with your installation. Well, I had asked for help, and I think at that point I had 500 comments on that video. A lot of helpful comments, a lot of really helpful stuff, and then some comments with, you know, trying to be helpful.
Right.
Maybe not
Right.
with informative situation. Right. And so when John reached out, I was a little skeptical because he sent an email from a Gmail account. He did not identify himself, had no motive to be representing his product.
Right.
And I asked him to follow up. I was like, oh, okay, I don't really have time. Tell me more, you know. And then he followed up with an email again from the Gmail account with a whole bunch of detailed recommendations. And when I read through those recommendations, based on the professional advice that I had already been seeking on YouTube and elsewhere. I went, wow, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I said, now I'm listening.
No, that's
So I said, let's talk. I mean, that's pretty much.
It was, and I sent it through my Gmail account. You know, I always try to keep this stuff kind of personal and not get company involved. So, you know, I reached out that way. And once we got talking further, I'm like, well, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can, you know, provide, you know, a qualified applicator that's been doing the business for 15 plus years and help support with some product and really come in here to show and help make sure it's done right. So 20 years ago when I first got in spray foam, I started spraying the Geico products. And then I went to work for them almost 14 years ago. You know, I really enjoyed the product and I wanted to help promote it and get more involved in it on the engineering side and the development side. And so I knew the owners really well and they were looking for somebody, so I went to work for them. I started off as like a field tech, going there training people how to spray, then got into the sales side and moved up and I'm at the director of the sales level now.
You want to spray some of this on your mask? It's just a silicone release. It makes the foam not stick to it so bad.
Okay, so that's so that it doesn't stick once it comes.
Usually you can just wipe it right off and spray it again and keep going. I'd back up just a little bit. There you go. So the difference here is you were a little close and you was going fast, too fast, too close. That's why it looks like that. Then you backed off and had it looking good, and then you kind of turned it a little bit and then backed off again.
Am I not at a good angle, or there it goes?
Just like that. I would probably stand more like. There you go. Instead of spraying into what you have rising, just try to get out in front of it a little bit.
Okay. Folks, you would not believe how hot it is standing right here. It's really hot standing right here.
So the chemical reacts and it puts off quite a bit of heat.
Well, it's almost as pretty as yours.
A little bit of tweaking, I think you'd get there. The same thing, shift my way a little bit and back off a bit. There you go.
I have moments of brilliance combined with predominantly messing up.
You're spraying like back into the foam that's trying to rise. So when I get going, I get out in front of it.
Folks, it looks incredibly easy. Not so much.
Right.
Wow, it looks so nice when you do it.
I've got about 4 years of spraying, so.
Wow. There you go. He can even repair my mess. Well, see, I just wanted my name on that one because I didn't want him to have to take credit for it. But the biggest help that I got from you was just working through the difficult marketing issues, right? I mean, I voiced some of this on the prior episode about, I mean, all we have to go by is R value. So help me with R value.
So R value is a long-lasting test. The fiberglass industry started that years and years ago. It's a controlled test that's in a controlled environment. It's a box. Basically, it takes all the real-life elements out of it, and that's how they get their R value.
What are the real-life elements?
Air movement, heat transfer, cold transfer, convective loop inside the wall. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in a real-world environment that's not in this controlled R value test. Right. If we just look at your wall over here, your temperature is going to vary from the top to the bottom. And when that's covered, if you had fiberglass in there, it'd be a controlled loop. So that's going to almost create airflow inside that wall.
Okay, so it's going to create a convective loop.
It will.
And that's going to bring in, this time of year, the hot from the outside and just keep bringing it to the inside. Right. Not just a one-time transfer, it loops.
Right, because it's not air sealed. When you put the foam in there, you air seal that cavity So now that space in behind your finish is the same temperature top to bottom because there's no air movement in there to cause that loop.
The big difference is the air seal being 6 or 10 mil thick with a fiberglass, but the entire thing is air sealed, the entire space.
Yep.
So that helps with that convective.
It does.
That's the type of thing that I begin to understand with John Tell.
One of the biggest thing is too, using the closed cell foam like you are here, now you add that vapor property. So now you're not gonna get that condensation in the wall. The vapor perms can't get to the outside. It's not gonna hit the dew point. So if that steel is 20 degrees, well, your warm air is never gonna hit that 20 degrees. That dew point is inside that foam, so it can never condensate.
I find this difficult, and this is where my dilemma was, right? I mean, we've got R value, which is the best thing I could find to measure. What you're saying is that there's the air infiltration,
Yep.
A convective loop that might be generated.
Yep.
There's radiation, there's convective, conductive, radiative, or whatever, heat transfers. Like shopping for a car or something, I can see the mileage estimates. You know, I can read right there, this one's gonna get better mileage than this one, and I can make an informed decision.
Right.
How can I make this proper decision on installation? Because R value seems to be all I have.
That's a great question. So you gotta look at the system of your wall or roof. You know, R value is based on controlled environments that takes out the airflow. Which air brings in heat or cold transfer. So if you take that out, then all you are is looking at the radiate heat going through the system. A lot of the new codes are switching to U values, which takes in the whole wall assembly, the air sealing, the substrate that you're outside, the inside, what you have for windows, the insulation you're using. So everything's going to a U-rated wall assembly.
So how do I find that information? Let's say I build an assembly, I've got my 29 gauge steel, I've got fiberglass insulation, then I've got a 6 mil or 10 mil plastic on the inside of that. How would I calculate the U value of that?
Calculate U values, you really got to have the software for it. So there's different type of raters out there that can do an engineered study on your wall. If you give them plans on your wall, they can give you a rated assembly for that wall, which can help decide what you need to do. When we're talking about spray foam, one thing here is you're getting rid of a lot of your heat transfer because your foam's going in behind all your purlins, it's going over your purlins, going in behind your beams. So it's monolithic, right? It's continuous. So you could have less R value there and be more effective because you have no transfer coming through. Like all your main beams going up, your post, the foam's in behind there. So those posts can't get cold from the outside. We're covering the purlins, so that's softened heat transfer from the outside. So if you have a continuous insulation, you can actually have a lower R value in your wall assembly because of that. So the new codes out there, they're crazy. Some of them are R30 in walls, R60. They're not accounting for that continuous insulation. So if you have that continuous insulation, you can actually reduce that back down to R20, R21, and get the R values back where you want because it's a rated assembly.
This is waste spray foam.
Yep.
That the guys just sprayed out on the floor. They were testing their gun actually, which is something else we should probably talk about.
Yeah.
But when I'm using spray foam, this entire thickness is my air seal.
It is.
Right? Every bit of this is my air seal. And if I go 3 inches thick, which that's what we're doing on these walls, I got 3 inches of air seal. Right. Like you said, going behind all the posts and everything. If I choose a fiber insulation, this is my air seal, right?
Yep. You're right. So if this is stapled up on the wall, this is great. Let's say the guy installing it does that by mistake. Just throw that away now.
The whole thing's gone.
It's gone.
Now do that to this.
I mean, you'd have to really,
You'd have to go all the way through the 3 inches. And so what I've seen from RR buildings and a little bit on the build show is that they can go to great detail. I mean, an enormous amount of focus, and they can make these fiber-based products with a good air seal on the inside. I forget the name of the product they use for the inside air shield. It's not just regular.
It's a smart membrane, so it allows moisture to transfer.
They can do that if they focus on that.
Yep.
But I'm using run-of-the-mill, average, everyday contractors who are just trying to get the job done.
Right.
I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to keep from poking a hole, either them doing it, or quite honestly, me doing it when I put in an electrical outlet.
That's a great point. Because once you cut in a box it's done. The really interesting thing about spray foam is it seals everything up so good, and if you did a blower door test on this building, you're gonna find a hole about the size of a pencil will show a lot of air coming through because there's no other place for air to come in. So if you did a blower door on this, you're gonna have air coming in everywhere, so it's not really gonna show it. But if a guy missed one little spot with spray foam, you're gonna see that because it's so tight everywhere else.
Tight everywhere else. But what I saw was that when these guys are spraying, I mean, you can visually see that they've sealed behind and around those posts. It's an easy thing to see. It's not easy to catch one little hole in this plastic. And then let's say we have a hole. What are we gonna do? How am I gonna fix that error?
You can't at that point.
And maybe tape over it, but
I mean, the tape will fail over time.
so it's not that I'm saying it's technically impossible. It's that I'm saying it's practically not possible for me to get that quality of an air seal. And I have proof in my old building. That was the background that I was borrowing from on my last video, was saying I've got a lot of insulation in the old building, but yet when I run one of those thermal thermometers, it shows cold. So it's not working. Now, John, this is the second day of our install. So we ended yesterday with one section of our wall here finished.
Yep.
And the next section, we didn't have anything on. And that's the side where the sun shines in first thing in the morning. And we've always noticed that it's hot. You know, it's been all summer. Now, it's a really nice day today. It's probably not even quite 70 degrees yet.
It's 62, I just looked.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it's a little warmer than that in the shop because, well, in a distance, the guys are spraying fresh insulation and that heats things up. What we're seeing is on the wall, 97 degrees, just pointed right at the Tyvek material right behind the steel.
Yep.
So the steel's probably 100 degrees or more.
Oh, it probably is.
And then right beside it, 72 behind the insulation.
Yep.
The one other interesting aspect is we found one section that had been flashed, just the real thin coat, but they hadn't yet put the heavy coat on.
Right.
And what we saw was, again, a temperature delta. It went from the 90s down, but it was like 8 or 10 degrees hotter than the full coat.
Right.
So 1 inch of foam is not going to stop that radiant heat transfer.
Right. No,
But 3 inches seems to be doing it.
It is.
We're just using a little thermal thermometer here.
Yep.
I'll see how hot John is. You know, I mean, you can see it's just like that. So who knows how accurate it is, but it's on that amount of delta.
Right.
You can see that amount of.
Right.
You can see the amount of change. My first plan, I had a local company here in Indiana come in, and they recommended an open cell insulation. I had planned on doing an open cell foam. It was less expensive.
Yep.
What I found was that everyone else I talked to, it didn't matter whether it was on YouTube, in real life, everyone else I talked to was, they put the yellow flags up. Not the red flags, but they put the yellow flags up saying, be careful, be careful. I'm not so sure that open cell is what you want to do.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Let's just say this was an office building. Open cell would have been a great choice.
And why is that?
So it's going to stop all the air movement. It's going to perform similar to the closed cell. You're going to see similar deltas. But in a building like yours, where you got these big bay doors, you got a wash bay over here, you're introducing a lot of moisture into this building. Open cell, that's the downfall. It doesn't have any vapor permeate. So it's like a sponge, right? So if you introduce high moisture in this and you're not taking care of it with an air exchange system, a dehumidifier, eventually that moisture could get into that open cell and cause some damage down the road. Okay. So in these types of buildings here, I mean, I would rather see a closed cell foam in here because you have more protection. Because you're going to be bringing wet equipment in, you're going to be washing equipment, humidity level is going to be higher here, which could cause issues down the road.
So the wash bay, for sure, you wouldn't recommend?
Oh, no, because, I mean, that wash bay is going to be very high humidity. Even though you can have a metal facing on there, or poly, or plastic. Yeah. But like we just saw earlier with that air test, if that plastic has a hole in it somewhere, it's going to suck that moisture into that and it could get into your open cell. So unless that was 100% sealed, watertight, then you could have an issue.
Even then the vapors probably, makes sense. Basically, the rule I'm hearing is if it's perfectly climate controlled on the interior, you think open cell would be fine?
Open cell would be fine.
Now, is that in all climates?
All climates would be fine with that, yeah. But it has to be a conditioned building that's controlling all moisture and in every aspect of the building.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
So how about my crawl space? I probably can answer my own question here because My crawl space is not fully climate controlled. It is encapsulated once I put that, but is the encapsulation going to be perfect if I use open cell?
No. Your crawl space has a dirt floor, correct?
Yep.
Being a dirt floor, it's always going to have moisture in it.
Yeah, and I'll put that 10 mil.
You're going to do 10 mil, but there again, I mean,
As soon as I crawl in there on my knees, I'll poke a hole in
if you
it.
poke a hole in it, then moisture is going to be allowed in there. What I recommend in the industry standard usually is the same way, is anything below grade is always a closed cell foam. I wouldn't put open cell on the floor in your crawl space or in your box sills. I would do all closed cell there. It's going to be a higher humidity environment because of the dirt, even though you have that 10 mil. Like you said, if you're crawling in there, you can poke a hole. Moisture is going to find its way up. Definitely a closed cell foam in anything below grade, crawl space, concrete. I don't like spraying open cell on concrete because concrete's a moisture sink, and it's just going to grab moisture from that.
Okay, makes sense. So we've decided to go with 3 inches of closed cell in the attic. If we look strictly at our value again, I'm R21. Right. Freaking out, right? You're supposed to be R48 at least in the ceiling, right?
Yep.
3 inches going to be enough?
3 inches will be enough. The reason being is you get a completely sealed envelope. I always tell people, look at a Yeti cooler, it's foam, and that's only usually an inch of foam. And I mean, that keeps stuff frozen forever. So it's all gonna be concealed with closed cell foam. You're gonna have no penetrations up through there. Whatever penetration you have is gonna be sealed. And you got no mechanicals up there. So it's gonna be a condition, you know, this all can be conditioned. So our R21 is gonna be fine.
That's expensive. What I've seen, even at 3 inches, I think I'm paying more for the ceiling than I am all the walls.
That's a big square foot. I mean, there's a lot of square footage.
What do you think about the idea of going with some sort of blown-in, maybe a blown-in fiberglass on the ceiling?
That works. It builds our value, but you're not getting your air seal. So the air seal is the most crucial part.
So again, I would have to have this thin layer of vapor permeable material.
Right. So you could use, 1.5 inch of closed cell foam.
IREC, I believe is what they call it, or something.
You can do that too. You got to have some air separation, air moisture separation. So I mean, you could use a closed cell foam. You could use your poly system. But there again, any type of poly system, if you poke a hole in it or have your wire come down, then it's compromised. Okay. So that's where the foam would be good up there as well, if you wanted to build higher R value with a blown. One thing that I'd be careful about these buildings, if you have soffit vents and you just do a blown up there, you don't have any protection from the air movement. The blown could be blown into the middle of the attic and you'd have nothing on the outside because the forced air coming up through there is going to blow it around.
So the edges are the problem, and you put those chutes in, of course, to protect for it.
That will help.
But then I noticed that with those chutes, I'm still not getting it down, as much right down in there under the eave. So you really think that 3 inches of spray foam would be better than whatever it is, our 48 of
I do.
fiberglass?
Yep. Personal experience, I have a shop not as big as this. I have 3 inches on my ceiling and I use very little propane to heat it a year.
Yeah, and you probably live in Florida.
I live in Maine.
Maine! So you live in Maine and you're getting by propane heat.
Yep.
Inexpensive with only 3 inches.
Yep.
Going back to one of these anecdotal pieces of feedback are really the best way that I know to test. I mean, I don't have a number. I don't have a chart that I can go through and see. Now, I did see a chart, I believe Spray Jones showed it, where he talked about the heat resistance or the transfers in the 90% range when you got to 2 inches. And
your diminishing returns. If you look at a curve chart for spray foam, if you get 3 to 3.5 inches, it's at 93.5% efficient. If you go up to 8 inches, you're only going to go up to 95, 96. You don't get anything by going higher. Some areas, northern Maine, if you're going against a roof deck, you need the extra inches because they got long, cold winters, and eventually that heat would make it through the foam and cause ice damage when you get mass amounts of snow on the roof. So higher climates, you do need thicker foam because of that. But in this climate, no problem.
is my inspector going to complain? I mean, our code will say something like R48, maybe even R60. What's my inspector going to say?
So it depends on the county or the inspector, but most inspectors will accept an energy calc to show the performance of the foam, and your installers can provide that for you. and they can show the performance level of the foam. Most inspectors across the country, no matter what state you live in, will accept an energy calc for lower R values.
Now, in transparency, I've already spoken with my inspector about it.
Yep.
I wanted to ask the question because I think it's a valid question.
Right.
We all have a concern. My inspector sees spray foam every day.
Right.
So it's not like he needs to see a custom energy calc for my shop.
Right.
He asked me, how much you putting in? I say 3 inches. And he goes, oh, that's plenty of foam. And that's the end of the conversation. Never mind that it says right in the code. Maybe it's because I have a quality inspector.
Yep. Every inspector is different.
Or maybe it's because they recognize that these codes are somewhat outdated.
Yep. So I'll give you another example on that same point. You get up in higher climate zones 6 and 7, the R value in the roof is 60, R value in the walls is 30. They're accepting energy calcs all day long to do an R20 in the walls and R38 in the ceiling with foam.
38's still a lot, right? I mean, we're talking roughly 7 per inch
7
for,
per inch,
for
yep.
foam.
Still over 5 inches. So consumers like you guys can't afford an R60 in a roof line. I mean, can you imagine if you had to do it here? I mean, it'd cost more than your building cost.
Yeah, we showed you in the earlier episode, our quotes were somewhere between 10 and maybe 15, maybe even a little more, $10,000 to $15,000 per inch in the ceiling. That's material and application.
Right.
$10,000 to $15,000 per inch, and so that's a lot of money.
It is. And you go back to that diminishing curve, you're not gaining anything by spending all that extra money. Yeah.
Well, thanks, John. I
Thank you.
cannot tell you how much I appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, I'm glad I did.
It's awesome to be in a position where we can ask the whole country for advice.
Right.
And find folks that have been watching us for years.
Yeah.
And an expert at the same time. That's right. Enjoy your little 1025R. What's your favorite attachment?
I like my flail mower a lot, but I use my snowblower a lot. I have a cab on it. I'm gone for work. My wife will go out there, hop on it, snowblow the driveway.
So you have the Curtis cab on it.
I do. Yep.
And you really like that because no more goggles.
No more goggles. I just put it on, I think 3 years ago. Before then, I was out there with the goggles, freezing. I hated it. But my wife wouldn't snowblow the driveway without the cab on it. So I had to pay somebody to take care of the driveway when I was gone.
What an investment.
It is.
Since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times.
Cool.